Welcome to the Software People Stories. I'm Shiv.
I'm Chitra.
And I'm Gayatri.
We bring you interesting, untold stories of people
Associated with the creation
or consumption of software-based solutions.
You'll hear stories of what worked
and sometimes what didn't.
You will also hear very personal experiences
and insights that would trigger your thoughts
and inspire you to do even greater things.
Before we jump into today's conversation, a special thanks to PM Power Consulting for encouraging and supporting this show right from the start. With over 1,000 person-years of collective experience, PM Power has helped many organizations, teams, and individuals chart out their own journeys of excellence and make progress. Thank you, PM Power. Now, let's move to today's episode.
Today, you will hear me talk with Rupam Tandon, who's running the program management office for the last 9 years. She covers the various decisions that she has taken. Her base degree has been in economics, and what she has done is she's moved to Dubai initially to get herself into finance industry and using software data analytics right from the starting point where the transition from paper to software moved, as well as from software to data analytics moved. So she also covers that in her spectrum and talks about subprime crisis to various finance changes that has happened through her career. And she also nicely talks about some of the decisions she's taken, moving to London, moving back to India, helping her own personal ambitions, right from becoming a IOD director or helping or acting as a steward for startups. I had fun talking to Rupam and hope that you also do. Hi, Rupam. Welcome to the Software People Stories. So happy to have you here.
Hi, Gayatri. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity to speak to you and your audience about this little journey I have. So thank you very much.
I am looking forward to this conversation. I know we have been speaking about it for some time and happy to do it before the year closes. I would like to you to introduce to our audience, Rupam.
So my name is Rupam Tandon, and I have 30 odd years of work experience in the financial sector across different geographies. I worked in Dubai as well as in London before coming back to India. So I started my career in the 1990s in Dubai in the financial industry, and I was part of NRI division of a multinational organization. It was a huge learning curve because banking was expanding rapidly at that point of time. Fascinating place to learn. Every client had a story and every decision mattered. It taught me importance of trust, relationship, and financial discipline. After spending about 10 years in Dubai, I moved to London in the early 2000s. And then that move was really what transformed me and my perception of the financial world. In London, I worked with the asset managers, hedge funds, and investment banks in different roles across different product types. In one of the Icelandic banks, I helped them to set up their middle office. I conducted research for structured investment vehicles and supported in IPO launches. It was fast-paced, global, and intellectually very, very stimulating. A big part of my relationship was managing relationships with clearinghouses, rating agencies, custodians, really connecting all the pieces of how a market operates. And then the subprimes came. I was in UK. I was in the middle of it. I watched all the big, large global banks fall. And it was, nerve-wracking. Some of the banks that fell in front of me were Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, AIG, and the like. So it was very, very unnerving because every morning you got up, you did not know that whether you had a job by the time you came back, or was it even worth going to the bank? Would the bank have survived? So those were the kind of situations or circumstances that one has seen in life. I realized that even the strongest institutions can collapse if governance, risk, and culture is not aligned. Those were difficult times, but very powerful lessons were learned about resilience, accountability, and the ethics of leadership. In 2011, I decided to come back to India. I took up an assignment in Bangalore, where I helped this organization to transition work from Ireland into Bangalore. And we had a record time in which we had to complete this transaction or this transition. And then we went through FCA as well as SEC audit, respectively, successfully. It was very intense, but it was very, very rewarding too. A few years later, I moved to Gurgaon, and since then, I have been here. With my move to Gurgaon, I also moved from investment banking into insurance. And since then, I've been working for an insurance organization.
Okay.
Here, I built communities like risk, ESG, cyber. I work on the culture development, process transformation, and even mentoring senior executives. I bring in continuous improvement into the processes. And as I say that I'm in my second inning or approaching my second inning, it is a phase of renewal and purpose. I've been upscaling myself for advisory and board roles. I'm a certified independent director from the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, and I also mentor startups. I do some consultancy work too, helping them set up governance and compliance frameworks right from the early stages. This chapter in my life feels very fulfilling because it brings everything together: the years in global operations, my learning from risk and governance, and my passion for mentoring of ethical leadership. What drives me today is simply belief that success without ethics is incomplete, and that governance isn't about control, it's about responsibility. Building organizations that are transparent, fair, and future ready. So the second inning for me is really about stewardship, giving back what I've learned, guiding organizations and helping the next generation of leaders grow with a purpose and integrity. That's my journey, from banking to governance, from operations to oversight, and from numbers to people. And honestly, it's been an incredible role. So that's my little story or my little journey, Gayatri.
Oh, wow. So much to unpack here, Rupam. It's let's start from the beginning. When you were working with Dubai and London-based companies, and what kind of a software was being used or data being used at that point in time, vis-a-vis in the recent years. Can you contrast that? Because the risk and the governance that you're speaking about, now a lot of it is being automated, and data is actually present in the decision makers' hands, not in matter of days, but it's matter of minutes, right? Can you think from what are the changes that you're able to see right in front of your eyes?
Right. So, and it was 30 years back. So Gayatri, obviously, initially it was all manual. Exactly. Everything was manual, and you had to do things, manually. But when I reached, this was Dubai, right? But when I reached London, we did have these conversations where we used to joke and say, because STP was something, straight through processing was something that was being talked about and was coming into being, right? And we used to talk that we should come into the organization, we should come to the company, come to the office, just press a button and then go out, because my office luckily was in the Oxford Street, right? Go out and do some shopping, have some good meal, and come back and see all the reports that would be generated. So it was something that we were looking forward to. We were envisaging that it would happen, but we did not know how long it would take. So I do remember in one of the asset managers that I was working, and where we were dealing with structured products, I did write a white paper on futures and options, STP, kind of a thing, and did a research to find out how is it that the other organizations, maybe a Morgan Stanley or a Goldman Sachs or a JP Morgan, how is it that they are doing? So in those times, we were still contemplating, we were still thinking, is it possible? And if it is possible, what is it that these big, banks they're using to automate things? But of course, when I came back to India, I mean, and the present organization that I work for, we've been creating bots. And we have been doing, continuous improvement, and we have been automating things. So yes, the journey from then to now is drastically changed, and it's changed for the better, of course.
The understanding the initial building blocks, I can imagine in terms of what has been put in terms of risk governance and understanding of the customer. When KYC was coming out, or RKYC, really know your customer, and all of that was rolled out. As a consumer, I always think, don't they know me already? How much more do they need to know me? So I think now I have a deeper appreciation of the risk and the governance now that we understand so much around the whitewashing and a lot of these financial crimes that are going around. So from your journey perspective, right, when you moved from Dubai to London, and what drove you to take that decision? I know you had passed out of your early education has been in India, and you had graduated out of Delhi, right? So what made you make that change? You had passed out of Lucknow, so I wanted to understand, was it huge from a change perspective?
Absolutely. So when I moved from India to Dubai, Dubai was my first place, internationally that I moved out to. And fortunately, I got one of the biggest banks to work in. So it was, yes, culturally, because, I came from Lucknow, which was not a big city. It was a conservative city. It was culturally very rich. But obviously, in those times, you did not see so many things. There was no, television as such. We used to get television, on Wednesdays and Sundays. That's the period that I grew up in Lucknow, kind of a thing. But of course, we used to read a lot, so we had awareness as to what things were, and we used to see some Bollywood movies, Hollywood movies that used to come, right? So we did have a glimpse. But actually, when I went to Dubai, that was an eye opener, because going and working in a multinational, and that too, in the financial sector, it was a huge thing. There were certain things that you were aware of, because you do know that how do you go and open an account and things, but things like mortgages, what is amortizing, what are loan to value kind of things, those were some things which I had to learn, on the job, kind of a thing. And the difference is that, Gayatri, I have a grown-up son. And what I learned on the job, he learned in the university. So that's the difference, because he did his university from Australia, whereas I did my university from Lucknow. Even though, I studied economics, as a major, as this thing, but it was not the same thing, because the way we study in India is also to this day very different to what they study there. So that's the difference I can say. But of course, with technology, those were the times when the laptops were just coming in, when your projectors were just coming in, and the entire complete conference setting. Those were things which were just coming in. So I would say, fortunate that I reached Dubai at a time when all this was coming, and we got an opportunity to use it right from the start. So before that, of course, there were desktops and things, but laptop is something that I experienced when I went to Dubai. So that's the difference between the life here and there.
No, I'm the reason why I was asking is coming from Lucknow. I'm sure culturally rich, but still not extremely modern. And in the end of the day, it's not a metro city, right? It means that the upbringing, all of that would have you would feel that, okay, there is a set of obstacles that will be put in place. So I am very impressed that you actually took a plunge from not only from India to Dubai, you took the second one from Dubai to Lucknow, Dubai to London at a young age, I'm sure. So I want to understand what are those decision parameters that you took to make
Okay.
those calls.
See, when you reach Dubai, then the next step is that you want to go to the US or Canada, Australia, or London. And I already had a sister who was in London. Right.
Okay.
And if you want to progress, you have to kind of look at more opportunities. And that's what I was trying to do. I was looking at more opportunities that would give me that platform where I could, just kind of soar. So maybe I can say that I was ambitious. And maybe I was at the right place at the right time, because I moved from this existing bank that I worked in, and I moved to London with that bank. The only difference was that here I was taking care of the NRIs, and there I got the opportunity to work on structured products. Structured products are also based on the same principles as mortgages, because they work on amortizing. And that was something that helped me, pass the interviews and get that role in London. So that's how I reached there. I was willing to take, the risk. I was willing to work hard. I was willing to, reskill myself. Because obviously London was the biggest financial hub at that point of time, if you remember, just before the subprimes, and everybody wanted to have presence in London because there was growth there. Otherwise, people would say you snooze, you lose. If you're anywhere else, you're not going to see that kind of a growth. I wanted my son to have good education, and the London schools were, the best that I could have offered. So I was determined that I am happy to work harder. There was opportunity. Probably things worked in my favor. So I would say I was fortunate enough to be there.
I think kudos to you in terms of balancing your personal life as well as your ambition to grow. And was the role a consideration at all when you had to move from one country to the other? And I'm sure the H-1B visas and all of these problems that we are facing, that would have been a lesser of an issue, I'm sure, that point in time, right?
Well, I will say it was a less of an issue, because in London, I was on 2 work permits. And then when the subprimes happened, I had to go and get my highly skilled migrant visa. So when I look back, I feel that, because I had certain capabilities, I was willing to work hard and people were willing to support. So I won't say it's all my doing. I would say the people I came across and I worked with were huge part in my progression and things, because they were very supportive. And I could give you an example of one of the asset managers that I worked for, Gayatri, and this is during the subprimes. This organization was going through a very rough phase because it was a kind of a startup, but not really a startup. It was into structured products and things, and they wanted to kind of hold on for some time simply because of the financial, this crisis that was happening. So when I went to Randy, my CEO, and I told him that, look, Randy, I'm on your work permit at the present moment. And if you decide to take my work permit away, my son too, who's going to school, would have to go back to India. He was very, very kind and very generous, and bless him for that. He said, till the time my organization is alive, it doesn't go into any administration or whatever, you have my work permit, but I also give you the facility that you go and look for either another bank that will take you on a work permit, or if you want to get into your highly skilled migrant visa. So had he not given me that support, Gayatri, I would not have been able to stay there. And my son kind of passed out his school leaving exam, which is 10 plus 3. 11 plus 2, so that is GCSEs and level 2+2 exams, right? And then he had to go to the university, which of course he went and did in Australia. But had this gentleman not volunteered to help me, things would have been different in my life as well as my son's life. So there are very good people in this world who kind of help you out when you really need them. And to find them in the financial sector and in London, I mean, it's icing on the cake, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is great. Normally, when if people find it harder to talk about, their personal space, how they've got help in the right time. I think, and sometimes we think we are all like wearing, robo jackets or a superhero jackets when we come to work. But we are our normal self, isn't it? When we come to our work and we need the support, we need as much as we want to succeed in the workplace, and there has to be enough and more support that the workplace, including our managers providing our mentorship and so on and so forth, that is what creates that a sense of loyalty, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And go ahead.
Sure.
So when I'm looking at your career, right, I look at it as a three parts. One is your Dubai and London space where you had done uh, primarily in the investment management, asset management, NRI space. And I think the second phase is when you working in the you worked in India, both investment management, setting up a global capability center at an insurance and the finance space. And the third phase is more around the uh, moving into your and the next innings of your life, right? So can you speak more little bit about what made you move to back to India? And was it also due to your son, or what made you make that shift? Or was it a subprime crisis that made you make the change? What made that
No,
happen?
no. No. So see, the subprimes happened in 2000 and it started, of course, in 5, 6, and then it hit the London market in 8, 9 kind of a thing. So yes, that was chaotic, but I survived all that. I came back to India around 2011, 12 kind of a thing. And I came back for my personal reasons because my mother was growing old. And we are 3 girls. We were all scattered all over across the world, kind of a thing. So somebody had to take that decision as to, come back and take care of your parent, kind of a thing. So that is a conscious decision that I made, and I wanted to come back to India. And I don't regret it at all because I think I gave my mom the happiness that she deserved, kind of a thing. So that's why I came back, Gayatri. Sure. So personally, it was my mother, but professionally, I got a role with one of the banks it was an American bank, which had its presence in Bangalore, and they were shutting down their office in Ireland. They wanted somebody to come and transition that work from Ireland to Bangalore. It was related to, hedge funds and high net worth clients, asset managers, etc. So obviously, it's a high maintenance kind of clientele that you have. The Ireland office was shutting down, and we had about 9 to 10 months in which to transition the work, upscale our people, and get into two regulatory, audits. So SEC as well as FCA had to come and visit us. And that was one of the reasons why I took this role, because it was a challenging role and it gave me a lot of learning. Plus, the India that I came back to was a very different India to the India that I had left and gone. India had progressed. And as you rightly said, the GCCs, etc., had started coming in. So this was one of the reasons where they were trying to, establish their foundation here in India, moving everything from Ireland into India. So they wanted somebody who could, handle that pressure, somebody who could manage the asset managers or the hedge funds, and at the same time look at the, the employee benefit and the welfare. So I do remember there were times when my team used to work even on a Saturday, Sunday. and I would ensure that I went and sat with them. So sometimes we used to have these conversations where the team would say, just having the light in your room burning gives us, enough motivation to come, because if she can come, why can we not come? A kind of a thing. So that is another reason why I came back to set up the entire transfer agency for one of the American banks that had what was wanting to have its presence set up in Bangalore, India.
Excellent. And this is also the space where you could bring your expertise. And I see in the last 10 years, you've done several learnings, if you can use the word. I think I know that you've done something with ISB, with the Institute of Directors, and in ESG, and several allied areas. I mean, what are those spaces that you like to learn, and how do you keep that momentum, Rupam? I think that's something that our listeners would be interested to understand, because um, every person thinks that they are done with the college and their learning is done, and a rest of it is organization has to provide. But that's not the case, right? Sometimes you have to keep on upskilling, whether it is institution mandated or otherwise. So, how can you share a little bit about it?
Of course. Of course. So, yes, you're very right. Because as I mentioned in the beginning, I am going to be starting my second inning. And, it's probably in my DNA, it's my personality that I like to be well prepared. I like to keep learning and upskilling myself. So you very rightly said I did go to ISB and I did a course in negotiations, because if I want to be a good advisor or an independent director or be a consultant, I feel that my negotiation skills should be a little better than the normal kind of a thing. So, and I thought that was a wonderful course. It would help me develop myself. Then I went to IIM Bangalore, and I did a course on cyber, because cyber, ESG, these are very topical topics and everybody is aware of it. I also did a certification in ESG, so that, I understand not only CSR, but I also understand, the ESG, the bigger picture as to what it is, why governance is important, and why organizations fail because of lack of governance. So obviously, I've been learning it on the job, but a little bit of certification, a bit of it from the books, etc., is also good, because it kind of reinforces the learning that you have done. So these are some of the things that I have done. I've also cleared my independent director's exam. I have been attending a number of masterclasses, because that helps me to network with other people who are in the same journey as I am, and also some people who've achieved those things. So networking with them, having those conversations, understanding what is the right path to tread, what is it that you want to do, and having those conversations also gives you the clarity. Is it are you in the right direction, or you're not in the right direction? So, and as I said, I like to keep upskilling myself, and that's why I've been doing it. Yes.
I love the fact that you said it is there in my DNA, and to continue to keep learning. And it's also very interesting that you talk about ESG and the governance, and some of what you have also been speaking in terms of your own journey has been around risk governance, asset management, and ensuring that there is a data awareness and set up everything, right? So I want to understand from your next innings perspective, what are the what are you looking forward to? For example, what would Rupam Tandon be doing 10 years from today, and what would you envisage?
Okay. I would love to be part of the startups also, because, startups, you have young people coming up with absolutely brilliant ideas. Sometimes what they need is some direction. And that perspective, or the direction, or the governance right from the start, is something that I can bring on the table. Um, because, their ideas are, as we mentioned, or we spoke about, the STP or the straight through processing, it was something that we just thought, but right now all those things are happening. So all these fintechs, the microfinance organizations, what they're talking about, the various platforms, all the WhatsApp and things. These are very trendy things. So I would want to be part of this young crowd, which gives me all these topical topics to think about. And the boring governance or framework or the documentation I can bring onto the table. So it's going to be a wonderful collaboration of the young and the old mind, I would say. And I would continue, as I said, obviously when these young people come with the great ideas, I would be able to, I would be forced to do some more learning, to find out, do some more reading, to find out what exactly it is, because obviously I would not want to look foolish among the young, talented people, kind of a thing. So that's one thing. The other thing is, because I've spent 30 years in the financial sector, in the governance, in the risk, that is, again, a part and parcel of me. So, and when I see a few startups in India failing, and failing because of lack of governance, it kind of bothers me. So I feel that, if I can add any kind of value in, these organizations, either as an advisory board or as an independent director or as a consultant, that would be a very fulfilling piece for me, because I would have put all the learnings into action going forward.
I'm loving this conversation so much, Rupam. And I agree in terms of the number of startups that need such operational execution. And we call this a bit of hand-holding. Hand-holding them in the initial stages, and to some extent, it's in a corollary, we say big boy pants somebody has to wear to hold them, even though the deep tech, they don't really need it at this, may not think that they need it. I think it's a very good one to do. Um, any advices that you want to share based on your learnings that you've had, decisions that you've taken, Rupam? What are the few things that you would like to share with our listeners?
Gayatri, I would say that, you should be open to change, because change is the new constant. Keep upskilling yourself, keep learning, because there is so much that you don't know. Okay, we always feel that we know so much. Yes, but there's always so much that we do not know. So keep upscaling yourself, because when you learn, that learning gives you that confidence and the perspective to put in your ideas, right? That's what I would say, and keep having fun with what you do. Because you can't, when you're working in serious organizations and serious industries like finance and data and IT, you need to have some fun too. So I would say have fun in doing whatever you do.
Thank you so much for your time today, Rupam. I love this conversation around the various moves you've done, and having such marquee names, right from City to AXA to all these names that you've had, and the experience you've gained. And you also, your encapsulation of your advice also is uh, based on your own career in terms of continuing to learn, continuing to have fun, and adapting to the circumstances around you. um, I would really, really thank you for your time and appreciate all the wisdoms, as well as information about yourself, and being very honest and frank about your own career journey. I loved it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much, Gayatri. I loved it too. So thank you very much for this.
We thank Siddharth for the music and Anita for promoting the Software People stories.
If you like this episode,
Please subscribe on your favorite podcast client.
And spread the word in your network.
if you'd like to share your story,
Contact us at podcasts@pm-powerconsulting.com.